The sleek Imperial scout ship Star Seeker glided through the darkness of space, its polished hull reflecting the distant light of Earth's sun. Captain Reed stood on the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back as he watched the blue planet grow larger on the main screen. His lips curved into a slight smile. Another primitive world to add to the Empire's growing collection. "Status report," he commanded, his voice carrying the practiced authority of someone used to being obeyed without question. "All systems nominal, Captain," replied First Officer Martin from his station. "Atmospheric entry calculations complete. No signs of advanced detection systems. As expected, their technology appears to be at Class 3 level, barely capable of reaching their own moon." Reed nodded, satisfied. The Empire's records showed Earth as a backwater planet, last surveyed 3 centuries ago. Standard procedure was to perform an unannounced entry, establish superiority, and then begin the process of diplomatic integration, a fancy term for what essentially amounted to colonization. "Begin entry sequence," Reed ordered. Standard stealth protocols. The ship descended smoothly toward Earth's atmosphere, its advanced cloaking systems making it invisible to what the Empire believed were primitive Earth sensors. The crew remained relaxed, having performed this same operation on dozens of worlds before. Then everything changed. Warning alerts suddenly blared across every console. The ship's systems began shutting down one by one, as if someone had flipped an invisible switch. "What's happening?" Reed demanded, grabbing his command chair as the ship shuddered. "Unknown energy fields, sir." Martin's fingers flew across his console. It's nothing like we've ever encountered. Our systems are being disabled, but there's no damage." A message flashed across their main screen, displayed in perfect Imperial standard. "Unauthorized ENTRI DETCTED. Vessel DSABLED. Stand by for ES Stewart." Reed's face paled. This was impossible. Earth shouldn't have this capability. Before he could issue any orders, 2 sleek vessels appeared alongside them, seemingly materializing out of nowhere. They were unlike any ships Reed had ever seen. Smooth, almost organic in design, with no visible propulsion systems. "Sir," his communications officer called out, voice shaking, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth Command." The screen flickered, and a calm voice filled the bridge. "Imperial vessel Star Seeker, you have entered restricted space without authorization. Your systems have been temporarily disabled for security purposes. Please be advised that Earth and the Sol system are off-limits to the Galactic Empire. This is your first and only warning." Reed stood frozen, his mind struggling to process what was happening. The primitive world they'd come to subjugate had not only detected their approach, but had completely neutralized their most advanced ship without firing a single shot. "Sir," Martin's voice snapped Reed back to reality. "What are our orders?" Before Reed could respond, their ship began moving, guided by an invisible force toward a predetermined trajectory away from Earth. "Another message coming in, sir," the communications officer announced. The screen displayed a new text. "Your systems will be reactivated once you reach a safe distance. Return to your superiors with this message. Earth is not accepting visitors from the Empire. Any further unauthorized entries will be met with increasingly severe responses. We trust this demonstration has made our position clear." As their ship was expertly guided out of Earth's space, Reed watched the sensor readings in stunned silence. The Earth ships escorting them showed no energy signatures, no readable technology. They might as well have been ghosts. Hours later, at the edge of the solar system, their systems suddenly came back online. The Earth ships vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared, leaving the Imperial crew with an unsettling realization. They hadn't discovered Earth. Earth had allowed them to find it. Reed stared at the now distant blue planet, a chill running down his spine. He would have to report this to the Imperial High Command, but he already knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had just become a much more complicated place. As the Star Seeker turned and jumped into hyperspace, Earth's automated defense systems logged another successful deterrence, and somewhere in a hidden command center, human operators smiled. The Empire had finally taken their bait, and everything was proceeding exactly as planned. The Imperial High Council chamber buzzed with angry whispers. Massive holographic displays showed the Star Seekers' encounter with Earth on endless repeat. Admiral Wells watched it for the 100th time, his eyes fixed on the mysterious Earth ships that seemed to defy the Empire's most advanced sensors. This is unacceptable. Council member Ross slammed his fist on the polished black table. A Class 3 world does not simply develop this kind of technology overnight. Admiral Wells stepped forward, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic glow. With respect, Council members, I believe we made a critical error. We assumed Earth was primitive because that's what our 300-year-old records told us. The chamber fell silent. Wells touched a control panel, and new images appeared. Historical scans of Earth from the past 3 centuries. Look at their development curve. He pointed to the data. While we watched their space programs and primitive satellites, we missed something crucial. Their energy signatures, their waste heat, their atmospheric composition. He paused for effect. They've been hiding their true capabilities. The council members leaned forward, studying the data with growing concern. Wells continued, I believe Earth has been aware of us for centuries. They chose isolation. They chose to appear weak. And now we know why. What do you propose, Admiral? Asked the head counselor, an elderly woman named Blake. We need more information, Wells replied. I've prepared our most advanced stealth probes. Even if Earth can detect them, the data they send back before being discovered will be invaluable. The council approved his plan, though some members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Within days, Wells launched Operation Shadow Eye, a network of 12 stealth probes, each smaller than a human hand and equipped with the Empire's most sophisticated scanning technology. The first probe lasted 6 minutes in Earth's space before being caught. It returned to Imperial space wrapped in what appeared to be a simple paper note, though the material defied all analysis. The message was clear. Nice try. Send the rest home, or we'll keep them as souvenirs. Wells didn't give up. He launched the second probe with modified stealth systems. This one lasted 8 minutes before returning with another note. We're starting a collection. The third probe came back painted in cheerful colors with googly eyes attached. The fourth was turned into an artistic sculpture. The fifth came back as a children's toy. Each time, Earth's message became clearer. They weren't just advanced. They were so far ahead that they could treat the Empire's best technology as playthings. In his private chamber, Wells obsessed over the data. The few minutes each probe had managed to transmit revealed glimpses of technology that shouldn't be possible. Gravity manipulation far beyond Imperial science. Energy systems that seemed to defy physics itself. And most disturbing of all, signs that Earth's influence might extend far beyond their solar system. Sir, his aide entered with another report. The 6th probe. Wells looked up, expecting another humiliation. Instead, his aide handed him a detailed message from Earth. Admiral Wells, your persistence is noted. Here's a free sample of what you're trying to study. Perhaps it will save us both some time. Attached was a technical diagram of the Empire's most secret project, a prototype stealth system that hadn't even been built yet. The implications were staggering. Earth hadn't just been hiding. They'd been watching, learning, and surpassing the Empire's technology, while remaining completely undetected. Wells sat back in his chair, a mix of fear and fascination washing over him. In all his years serving the Empire, he'd never encountered anything like this. Earth wasn't just another world to be added to the Empire. It was something entirely new. Cancel the remaining probes, he ordered. Then, after a moment's thought, he added, and get me everything we have on Earth's historical development. Every scan, every signal, every piece of data we've ever collected. It's time we learned who we're really dealing with. As his aide hurried away, Wells stared at the technical diagram. For the first time in his career, he felt like a student instead of a master. And somewhere on Earth, hidden sensors tracked his every reaction, feeding data into systems that were already planning 10 steps ahead. Ambassador Stone stood before the mirror in his quarters aboard the Imperial diplomatic vessel, Peacebearer, adjusting his ceremonial robes one final time. After weeks of careful negotiation, Earth had agreed to a formal meeting. His mission was simple: convince Earth to join the Empire peacefully. The ship hung in high orbit, exactly where Earth's United Council had permitted them to stay. Two of those mysterious Earth vessels floated nearby, silent guardians that made the Imperial crew deeply uncomfortable. "Ambassador," his communicator chirped, "they're ready to receive you." Stone took a deep breath. "Very well. Begin transport sequence." Instead of their traditional transport beam, Earth had insisted on providing transportation. Stone felt a strange tingling, and suddenly he was standing in a vast circular chamber. The walls seemed to be made of flowing light, and the floor was perfectly clear, showing the Earth turning below them. "Welcome to Unity Station, Ambassador Stone." Director Thompson of Earth's United Council stepped forward. She was a tall woman with silver hair and eyes that seemed to see right through Stone's diplomatic facade. Behind her stood the rest of the council, 12 members representing Earth's unified government. "Thank you for having me." Stone bowed slightly. "The Empire extends its hand in friendship and—" "Let's skip the ceremonial speeches," Thompson interrupted, her voice firm but not unkind. "We both know why you're here, and we both know it won't work." Stone faltered for a moment but quickly recovered. "Perhaps there has been some misunderstanding. The Empire offers protection, technology sharing, trade opportunities." Thompson raised her hand, and a holographic display filled the chamber. Stone froze as he recognized the scenes playing out before them. Imperial ships stripping resources from protected worlds, native populations being relocated, entire ecosystems collapsing under Imperial exploitation. "We've been watching," Thompson said quietly. "For 300 years, we've observed how the Empire treats its friends. We saw what happened to the Centauri colonies. We monitored the strip mining of the Proxima system. We witnessed the protective occupation of the Trappist worlds." Stone's diplomatic mask cracked. How do you have this information?" "The same way we have this," Thompson nodded, and new images appeared. These showed the Empire's most secret council meetings, including ones from just days ago. "We've had observers in your highest chambers for generations. Did you really think we wouldn't do our homework before revealing ourselves?" The ambassador's face paled. "This is impossible. Our security is based on technology we surpassed 2 centuries ago." Thompson completed his sentence. "Which brings us to the real purpose of this meeting. We're not here to discuss Earth joining the Empire. We're here to formally notify you that the Empire is banned from Earth space." Stone's diplomatic training warred with his growing fear. "The Empire does not recognize Earth's authority to." "We're not asking for recognition," Thompson smiled. "We're informing you of reality. Earth space is now off-limits to Imperial vessels. Furthermore, we will be extending our protection to other worlds that wish to resist Imperial expansion." This is an act of war," Stone managed to say. Thompson's smile didn't waver. "No, Ambassador, this is an act of preservation. We've seen enough worlds die under Imperial protection. That ends now." She gestured, and a small device appeared floating between them. "This contains proof of our capabilities, along with a list of systems now under Earth's protection. We trust the Empire will make the wise choice and respect these new boundaries." Before Stone could respond, he felt the tingling sensation again. In an instant, he was back on his ship, the device clutched in his trembling hands. Through the view screen, he watched as Unity Station seemed to fold in on itself and vanish, leaving no trace it had ever existed. His communicator beeped with one final message from Earth: "Safe travels, Ambassador. Do give Admiral Wells our regards." and remind him we're still keeping his probes as souvenirs. The peace-bearer turned and began its long journey home, its crew unaware that they now carried dozens of Earth's microscopic observers, ready to monitor the Empire's every move. The diplomatic phase was over. Now the real work would begin. Admiral Wells stood on the bridge of the Imperial flagship, Eternal Glory, watching as his fleet of 100 warships emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. After weeks of arguing with the High Council, he had finally convinced them that a show of force was necessary. Earth's defiance could not go unchallenged. All ships reporting ready, Admiral, his second-in-command, Captain Hall, announced. No sign of Earth defenses detecting our arrival. Wells allowed himself a small smile. They had developed new stealth systems based on their probe data. This time, Earth wouldn't see them coming. Begin advance toward Earth, he ordered. Maintain stealth protocols. The fleet moved forward in perfect formation, their massive ships cutting through space like silent predators. As they passed Mars' orbit, Wells felt his confidence growing. Still no response from Earth. Then Captain Hall's console lit up with warnings. Admiral, multiple energy signatures activating throughout the asteroid belt. Before Wells could respond, thousands of small objects scattered throughout the asteroid belt suddenly came to life. What they had assumed were simple rocks revealed themselves as cleverly disguised weapons platforms. Evasive action, Wells shouted, but it was too late. The weapons didn't fire energy beams or missiles. Instead, they created a complex web of gravitational distortions. The Imperial fleet found itself caught in an invisible net, their ships unable to move forward or back. Engineering reports our drives are being affected by some kind of quantum field, Hall reported, his voice shaking. We can't break free. A familiar voice filled their communication channels. Admiral Wells, we were wondering when you'd try this. The main screen activated, showing Director Thompson sitting calmly in what appeared to be a control center. I see you brought friends this time. Should we send them all home with googly eyes, or would you prefer a different decoration theme? This is an act of war, Wells growled, trying to maintain his dignity despite the situation. Thompson's expression turned serious. No, Admiral. This is a lesson in consequences. You were warned. Earth was declared off-limits. Yet here you are, with 100 warships, thinking that quantity would somehow overcome quality. As if to emphasize her point, small drones began appearing next to each Imperial ship. They were barely larger than maintenance pods, but the energy readings from them made Wells' blood run cold. Each of these drones, Thompson explained, carries enough power to disable a planet's worth of technology. We've had them waiting out here for decades, disguised as space debris, just one of thousands of surprises we prepared for this exact scenario. Wells watched helplessly as the drones attached themselves to his ship's hulls. One by one, the mighty vessels of the Imperial fleet went dark, their advanced systems shutting down, leaving only basic life support active. Now, Thompson continued, we could simply destroy your fleet. But that's not how Earth operates. Instead, we're going to give your crews a close-up look at what real technological advancement looks like. The asteroid belt began to move. Not just individual rocks, but the entire belt shifted like a gigantic machine coming to life. Hidden stations and shipyards emerged from their camouflage, revealing a defensive infrastructure that dwarfed anything the Empire had ever built. Your ships will remain disabled for the next 6 hours, Thompson informed them. Use this time to observe and learn. When your power returns, you will be escorted out of the system. And Admiral, the next time you feel the urge to bring a fleet into our space, remember, what you're seeing now is just what we're willing to show you. Wells sank into his command chair, finally understanding the true magnitude of his mistake. Through the view screen, he watched as Earth's asteroid belt continued its impossible dance, a display of power that made the Empire's greatest achievements look like child's play. In the silence of his disabled bridge, surrounded by the most powerful fleet he had ever commanded, Admiral Wells learned what real helplessness felt like. And somewhere in Earth's hidden command centers, operators began preparing for Phase 2 of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. The Imperial High Council's emergency session had been running for 6 hours straight. On the massive display screens, detailed scans of Earth's technology played on endless loops. Admiral Wells stood before them, his uniform still wrinkled from his recent humiliation in the Sol system. As you can see, he pointed to the scans, their quantum shielding technology operates on principles we barely understand. It doesn't just block our weapons, it renders them completely irrelevant. Council Member Ross leaned forward. Explain it in simple terms, Admiral. How do they advance so far beyond us? Wells touched a control, bringing up a new image. While we focused on expanding our empire, Earth chose a different path. They went deeper instead of wider. Their isolation wasn't a weakness, it was a strategy. The display showed a timeline of Earth's development. They detected our first scout ships centuries ago. Instead of reaching out, they watched and learned. They saw how we treated other worlds and made a choice. They would develop their technology in secret until they could face us as equals or superiors. Show them the energy readings, Captain Hall suggested from his position behind Wells. New data filled the screens. This is why they don't need to conquer worlds for resources, Wells explained. They've mastered clean energy production on a scale we thought impossible. Their smallest power plants produce more energy than our largest stellar collectors. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Empire's greatest advantage, its control over energy resources, meant nothing to Earth. But the most disturbing discovery is their AI systems, Wells continued, his voice growing tense. The reason they could counter our every move. They have artificial intelligence far beyond our comprehension. Their defense networks don't just react, they predict. They knew what we would do before we did it. As if to emphasize his point, every screen in the chamber suddenly changed, showing Director Thompson's face. The council members jumped in surprise. An excellent explanation, Admiral, she smiled. Though you missed a few key points, would you like me to fill in the gaps? Wells fought to keep his composure. How are you accessing this chamber? These systems are completely isolated. Are they? Thompson raised an eyebrow. Let me demonstrate something. The air in the center of the chamber shimmered, and a small device appeared, floating at eye level. This is a standard Earth communication node. We've had thousands of them throughout your empire for generations. Your isolated systems have never been isolated. She continued, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. You see, while you were building bigger ships and better weapons, we were asking different questions. How do we eliminate the need for resource wars? How do we build technology that enhances life instead of threatening it? How do we create defense systems that protect without destroying? The floating device projected a series of images. Earth cities powered by clean energy, ships that could fold space without massive engines, medical technology that could cure diseases the Empire thought incurable. Your empire is built on scarcity, Thompson explained. Ours is built on abundance. You conquer worlds to take their resources. We create resources from nothing. You build weapons to instill fear. We build shields to preserve life. The council members watched in stunned silence as she revealed technology after technology, each one making their empire's greatest achievements look primitive in comparison. This isn't a war, Admiral, Thompson concluded. It's an intervention. Your empire's way of doing things is obsolete. We're not here to conquer you. We're here to show you a better way. The projection vanished, leaving the council chamber in darkness. When the lights returned, every piece of Imperial technology in the room had been transformed into their Earth equivalents, sleeker, more efficient, and impossibly advanced. On each device, a simple message glowed. The future is already here. Your choice is simple. Adapt or become irrelevant. Wells touched one of the transformed devices, feeling the weight of centuries of imperial pride crumbling under the simple truth. They weren't just facing a more advanced civilization. They were facing humanity's vision of what civilization could become. The mining colony on Proxima B had grown used to the regular visits from imperial tax collectors and resource ships. Every month, they would watch helplessly as their hard-earned resources were loaded onto massive imperial freighters, leaving barely enough for the colony to survive. Today was different. As the imperial ships approached, a new vessel appeared in orbit. It was smooth and elegant, clearly of Earth design. The colonists watched in amazement as it positioned itself between them and the imperial ships. Imperial vessels. A calm voice broadcasted on all frequencies. This system is now under Earth's protection. Your presence is no longer welcome here. The Imperial commander's response was immediate. This system belongs to the Empire. Leave immediately or face destruction. The Earth ship didn't move. Instead, it released hundreds of small drones, similar to those that had disabled the Imperial fleet in the Sol system. The Imperial commander recognized them and felt his confidence fade. Last warning, the Earth ship responded. Leave or be escorted out. Your choice. The Imperial ships opened fire. Their weapons passed harmlessly through the Earth ship, which seemed to flicker like a mirage. Before they could fire again, the drones activated. One by one, the Imperial ships went dark, their systems disabled. As the powerless Imperial ships drifted, the Earth vessel's captain opened a channel to the colony. People of Proxima B, you are now free. We'll be leaving some defensive platforms to ensure your independence. The Empire won't be troubling you again. Similar scenes played out across dozens of systems. Earth ships appeared near exploited worlds, establishing protective zones and helping colonies break free from Imperial control. They didn't conquer, they liberated. In the Imperial Palace, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Admiral Wells watched the updates with a mix of dread and fascination. Another system lost, Captain Hall reported. The Centauri colonies have declared independence under Earth's protection. The Trappist worlds are expected to follow within days. Wells nodded. He had expected this after their encounter in the Sol system, and our attempts to bypass their defenses. Useless, sir. Their technology. It's like they're playing a different game entirely. We send in stealth ships. They send them back painted in rainbow colors. We try to hack their systems. They turn our computers into entertainment centers. We can't even understand how their technology works, let alone counter it. A junior officer rushed in with another report. Sir, the Orion armed colonies are revolting. They're laughing at us, sir. Actually laughing. Earth has somehow turned our defeat into a galaxy-wide joke. Wells walked to the window, looking out at the Imperial capital. Already he could see signs of change. Earth's influence was spreading not just through military might, but through ideas. Their technology, their philosophy of abundance over scarcity, their protection without domination. It was infectious. Sir, Hall spoke quietly. There's more. Some of our own worlds. They're requesting Earth's protection. They say they're tired of living under the Empire's shadow. Wells turned back to his officers. The Empire is built on fear and control. Earth showed the galaxy something different. Strength through protection, power through generosity. We never stood a chance. As if to punctuate his words, every screen in the room lit up with a familiar face. Director Thompson smiled at them. Having a productive morning, gentlemen. Come to gloat? Wells asked, but there was no bitterness in his voice anymore. Actually, we've come to offer you a choice, Thompson replied. The old way is ending, Admiral. You can fight it and become increasingly irrelevant, or you can help us build something better. Your empire's time is over, but humanity's story is just beginning. Which side of that story do you want to be on? Wells looked at his officers, seeing the same realization in their eyes. The Empire had spent centuries conquering the galaxy, only to be defeated not by force, but by hope. What did you have in mind? He asked. Thompson's smile widened. Let's talk about the future. 1 year after Earth's emergence, the galactic landscape had changed beyond recognition. The massive Imperial Palace, once a symbol of absolute power, now served as the headquarters for the Free Systems Alliance. Director Thompson stood at its huge window, watching ships from 100 different worlds move through the sky. The latest report from Admiral Wells, her assistant said, handing her a datapad. The former Imperial officer had become one of Earth's strongest supporters, helping worlds transition from Imperial control to independence. Thompson smiled as she read the numbers. Over 300 systems had joined the Alliance, with more requesting membership every day. Not through conquest or coercion, but through choice. In the chamber behind her, representatives from dozens of worlds gathered for the Alliance's monthly meeting. Some were former Imperial colonies, others were independent worlds that had hidden from the Empire for centuries. All of them were here because Earth had shown them a different way. Director, a voice called from the crowd. The Centauri delegation has a question about the technology sharing program. Thompson turned to face the chamber. The technology sharing initiative had been Earth's masterstroke. Instead of hoarding their advances like the Empire had done, they freely shared them with Alliance members. But they didn't just give away technology. They taught the principles behind it, helping each world develop its own unique solutions. Earth's policy remains the same, she answered. We share knowledge, not just tools. The goal isn't to make you dependent on us, but to help you grow beyond us. A holographic display activated in the center of the chamber, showing the galaxy with Alliance systems highlighted in bright blue. The former Empire's territory was shrinking daily, not through war, but through transformation. What about the Imperial remnants? Asked another representative. There are still worlds loyal to the old system. Thompson nodded to Admiral Wells, who stepped forward. We're not forcing anyone to join us. Those worlds can keep their Imperial system if they wish, but they're finding it harder to maintain their power when their neighbors are thriving under the new approach. He gestured to the hologram, where another system's color changed from red to blue. That makes 15 this week. They're choosing to join us because they see it working, not because we're making them. The chamber buzzed with conversation. A year ago, these same representatives would have been enemies, each serving their own interests. Now they work together, sharing resources and knowledge freely. There is one more announcement, Thompson said, drawing everyone's attention. Our deep space monitors have detected signals from beyond the galaxy's edge. It seems we're not alone in the universe after all. The chamber fell silent. Then someone laughed. Good thing we sorted ourselves out before they arrived. The tension broke as others joined in the laughter. They had learned from Earth's example. Whatever lay beyond their galaxy would find not an empire built on fear, but an alliance built on cooperation. The signals will take time to decode, Thompson continued. But whatever we find out there, we'll face it together. Not as rulers and subjects, but as equals. She looked around the chamber, seeing hope in every face. Earth had done more than ban an empire. They had shown the galaxy what civilization could become when it moved beyond conquest and control. In orbit above, Earth's ships patrolled alongside vessels from 100 worlds, each unique in design but united in purpose. The Empire's reign of resource wars and exploitation was ending, replaced by an age of discovery and cooperation. And somewhere in deep space, unknown civilizations were about to discover that the galaxy they were approaching wasn't the same one they had observed from afar. They would find something new, a civilization that had learned to grow without consuming, to protect without controlling, to advance without destroying. They would find humanity's greatest achievement, not the technology they had developed, but the peace they had built. As the Alliance meeting continued below, Thompson smiled at the thought. Earth hadn't just banned an empire. They had replaced it with something better. Hope.